Welcome to tutorial number 7 in the entire series for building our city spell app. This is also the beginning of stage 3. So in order to start stage 3, all you need to do is just open, whatever what you got to by the end of stage 2, and there's a guide, of course, in your course shell for stage 3. So let's start reading it. We're going to start, of course, from stage 2. There's no need to duplicate anything, or we're just continuing from what we got. You should be able to test, and we talked about it by the end of stage 1. If we just want to roam around the city, we could, just for testing while we're on a desktop, disable the OVR player controller and enable the FPS controller, as long as we remember to go to the mobile input menu and disable to simulate walking around the city, something like this. If I disable OVR player, this is optional, of course, and now there's no camera and instead the FPS controller. We put the FPS controller there back in stage 1, again for the same purpose. And if I play, I can use my mouse for looking around. For instance, I can see a nice monster here. Then I can use my arrows up, down, left, right to move, look at it, go around it, explore the city, and so on. The only condition for that to work would be that under mobile input, I disable. Right now, disable is grayed out, which means it is disabled. There's no need to enable it back because we're not really testing it on mobile right now. We're going to build to Quest, but we're testing on desktop, not on mobile. So if all that worked, of course, I'm going to disable the FPS controller and re-enable the OVR. Let's go for stage 3. So what's left really? Because our game is basically working. We got the wand with its 5 gems, which are hidden. We got the 5 treasures, and we got all the scripting that's needed when we roam around the city and our wand catches or triggers one of the our wand triggers one of the treasures. We get a point, we get a gem, and so on. And there's even a script that when we get 5 of them, it should take us to a win scene, which is one of the things we're going to create in this stage. The only things that we need to do before we build the win scene is basically put the final touches, which a lot of them are, let's call it cosmetic or atmosphere, on the game scene or the main scene. So let's start. The first thing we need to do is tell the users what to do. So it's a UI, but it's not really an interface. It's a billboard. We're going to create, we've done this before, an empty game object called UI, and we're going to give it this transform, which is basically the default transform, except Z is moved away 2.5 meters from us, or from the center. So we're on the main scene. We're going to create an empty game object. We're going to reset, except giving it 2.5. We want the sign to be pretty much, if we are here, we want the sign to be almost at the building. That building is like its backdrop, and its name is going to be UI. And I think you're guessing that what UI is going to have is some text. And in order to have text, we got to have a canvas too. So the instructions say that, do all of this, inside the UI, a Text Mesh Pro. Remember, there are 2 kinds of text. There's the legacy text, and its main advantage is that we can use any font we want right out of the box. Its main disadvantage is that it sometimes looks a little fuzzy, and also there's fewer effects we can give it. And there's Text Mesh Pro, and of course its advantages and disadvantages are exactly the opposite. So we're going to insert a Text Mesh Pro. Now, depending on whether you used Text Mesh Pro before, one out of 2 things will happen. Either it'll ask you to import, it'll come up with this dialog, or if it doesn't, you're going to force import it yourself by going to Window, Text Mesh Pro, Import TMP Essentials, and then Import TMP Essentials and Extras. Let's see. So if I go to UI, right-click, UI, Text Mesh Pro, it seems like here it is. It came up with that first dialog that I was talking about. In this case, we're going to always do the same things. If this did not come up, I would go to Window, Text Mesh Pro, and find those same two options right here. You do one and then you do the other. So in this case, I did get the dialog, so I'll use the dialog. Import TMP Essentials, I will. Import TMP Essentials examples and extras, I will. Cool. Now I got, as I created my first Text Mesh Pro, of course it also created its own canvas, and I think you're guessing that the first thing we're going to take care of is the canvas, like we always do. Select the canvas. If you see a button in the canvas inspector saying upgrade to OVR overlay canvas, I tried it. It's very tempting. Don't click it. The main disadvantage of it is that it's meant really for overlay. Overlay meaning text that will show through everything. In other words, through the walls of the buildings and everything. Not appropriate for this game, so we don't really need it. So we are going to change the canvas to world space. Let me move this so we can see the numbers. And the instructions. I'm going to select the canvas and let's see what we're going to do to it. So canvas. Like I said, if you see a button, I don't see a button right now, so I'm not going to press it. But if you do see a button like this one, upgrade to OVR overlay canvas, sometimes it shows, sometimes it, or actually I think I know how to make it show. I'm going to change it from screen space to world space, as we should right here. And here it is, this button. Do not click it. Just ignore it. Don't click set layer to overlay, and so on. Just ignore this whole thing. And then I can reset the transform and do everything it says here. 000, width 10 by 10. We don't need 100 by 100. A billboard that's 10 meters by 10 meters is more than enough. All the other things here are going to be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0.5. And then all these are zeros and ones. Everything's cool. World space, plane distance. I don't think I'm changing anything here. I am going to, just like it says here, uncheck canvas scaler because we're not going to need it. Uncheck the graphics raycaster. We're not going to need it. And all of these are exactly as is. So when I double click on this canvas, especially when I look at it from the side, I can actually see that there's already a text in this canvas, only it's huge and totally out of proportion. If I click on the canvas and then on the rect tool, I can see here's my 10 by 10 canvas. And maybe we'll move it up, maybe we'll move it down, and so on. But it's basically right there in front of my face. So the rest of the work is going to be on the text. So did I say to give it like any kind of name? Because it's not that important. Nah, I can call it instructions or just, it's the only text we're going to have. So its name doesn't really matter. And we're not going to control its anything about it with scripting. So its name is totally up to you. Let me call it instructions. Users need to be told what the premise of the game is. What they need to do, and the city, the spell, and all that stuff. So, in order to bring that text into what we want it to look like, we're going to actually, you see this font? I want to show you something. In the instructions, if I show this text, I'm not going to move it around for right now, but it's right now a pretty, a very nice but very boring, text with no character to it. So what font can I use? I can use the fonts that came with those examples that we installed, and it's either this one or 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 this one. Now, this one, actually, I installed myself, so we're going to ignore it. This is the one we're going to do. All the other fonts, other than that Magic School, which you guys will not have yet, is a font, are fonts that are not really appropriate for this game. I want a font like this, kind of like a Harry Potter font. How do we get that font? Where is that font right now? It's in the teacher's assets. I'm going to delete it just to show you what you should expect. Here it is. What came with the teacher's asset is a regular font called Magic School 1 and another one called Magic School 2, just in case. But the problem is that because it's a regular font, we cannot use it in TextMesh Pro. So we're going to learn right now how to convert a regular font, what's called an OTF font, to PostScript font, to a font that TextMesh Pro can use. Look at the instructions. What we're going to do is we're going to go to Window menu, TextMesh Pro, Font Asset Creator. It's a little tool for conversion. Window, TextMesh Pro, Font Asset Creator. I'm going to browse until I find this. Shows me all the regular fonts in my Unity project, and I'm going to choose the one called Magic School 1. Then dialog appears. For source font, check Magic School 1. You can download those fonts from anywhere you want. All the other settings on this screenshot as is. Then click Generate Font Atlas, then save, and we're going to do it to the fonts folder in the Teacher City assets. So we're going to click Generate Font Atlas, Window, TextMesh Pro, Font Asset Creator. Not do anything with these. We're simply going to click Generate Font Atlas. And it told me that it was able to convert 96 out of the 99 characters in this font, which, believe me, is all the ones we need. The ones it couldn't, convert are like, weird characters like these that we're just not likely to use. Then I'm going to click Save, and it wants to save it as SDF, which is the kind of font that TextMesh Pro uses, and I'm going to save it into the fonts folder along with the other fonts. Now I actually have a TextMesh Pro font that I can use. So I can go back to instructions and select this Magic School 1 font. Now it looks the way I want it to look. The rest of it is going to be to select the TMP, which should be a child of the canvas, to the text, copy and paste the following text. So it's everything that's in dark blue and bolded. I'm going to copy. I'm going to go here and into the text box itself, paste. And these, city is under dark spell, only you can remove it. All the stuff you're going to see basically in front of you when you start the game. Of course, now we need to make it fit. So how do we make it fit? We are going to mimic or copy these settings. Let me zoom out so I can see all of them, and we'll just go over them one at a time. So all the transforms are reset except 2.5, which means just brought it up a little bit. You see how it brought it above the floor a little bit. We don't need 200 by 50. 9 by 4 will be more than enough. Remember, the size of the canvas is only 10 by 10. all these stay the same, all these stay the same, this stays the same. The text input, we don't need to enable RTL editor. This is for like languages that are written from right to left, but we're not. Then the font we already changed, Magic School 1, the one we generated ourselves. We're not going to use any of the font styles, in other words, the font as is. You see how it says font size 0.35 and but it's disabled? It's because we're going to check auto size, but it says 18 here. So how do we get to 0.35, if it's disabled? It's because of the min and max. We're going to say the minimum size of font is going to be 0, and then it resizes it to, look, we're already where we need to be. Max 72. We're going to change the vertex color, which is really, the font color, to some kind of like, bright red, or, somewhere between red and orange, like, fire color. In this case, we're not going to use any, fancy effects like color gradients and stuff like that. What we are going to do as far as alignment is align the text center and top. So by the time we do in our game window, we should see a nice bright red text right in front of our faces. The text wrapping is normal, the overflow is overflow, and that's it. So now if I double click on the instructions, here I am. They're right in front of my face. Now, the beautiful thing about TextMesh Pro is that it's vector. It's not pixel-based. So that means, in practical terms, that the closer you get to it, the smoother and sharper it looks. Unlike pixel stuff, where the closer you get to it, the more pixelated it looks. So this is really the biggest advantage. Right now, we're kind of marrying the advantages of old legacy text and TextMesh Pro. All the sharpness of TextMesh Pro with the freedom of using any font you want from the legacy text, because we just learned how to convert any font we want into TextMesh Pro. At this point, I'm going to stop tutorial number 1, and we're going to continue on tutorial number, this is tutorial number 7, but the first one in stage 3. So the next one is going to be number 8, or the second one in stage 3, where we're going to start making the city look like it's really under a spell.